Let's get going then. So thank you all for joining this session today. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit around how we at Aviva are building an AI-ready culture and how Dataiku is helping us along that journey. So as an intro, my name's David. I look after the AI and ML platforms across Aviva. I've got about 10 years experience across data analytics, primarily within the CIO function. So what are we going to cover today? First of all, we're going to touch on a little bit around actually who are Aviva. I'm sure you probably all know, but we'll cover it anyway. Then we'll dive into a little bit around actually how Dataiku is helping us to overcome some of the challenges that we face when it comes to building that kind of culture. And then we're going to touch on why does it all matter, what's the importance, what's the value we're achieving, and then we'll finish really quickly on just kind of what's next for us as we go into the new year. So let's get started. Who are Aviva? Right, so we are the UK's leading diversified insurer with over 25 million customers across UK, Ireland and Canada. So pretty big, and obviously if you're not aware, we have just acquired a big company in Direct Line as well. So our organisation is kind of split really into various different businesses. So the first, we have our general insurance business. So we've got over 7 million customers with a leading insurer in this space in the UK. We're number 3 in Ireland as well. But kind of it's split into two product lines. So we've got our personal lines products, everything we know and love, car insurance, home insurance, pet, travel, rescue. But we also then have our commercial lines business, which is really successful as well. So this is where we insure small, medium enterprises with van and kind of property insurance. We've also got global corporate specialty, which is our kind of large enterprises. And we also operate on the Lloyd's of London market through Probitas. Next up, we've got what we call IWR, because the rest of it's a right big mouthful. Should actually say insurance. So firstly is insurance, where we have our life protection and life insurance policies. We're kind of the leading insurer in that space. We also have our health business as well, which is really, really successful. And then the other arms we have here are wealth. So this is our savings, investments and pensions. We're the number 1 workplace pension provider in the UK. And then we also have our retirement products as well. So when everyone reaches their retirement age, they've got their annuities and also equity release, of which, again, we're market leaders. And then what I've tried to do is kind of just bucket the rest of the organisation into the kind of the third pillar here, but it's not to be underestimated. So our Aviva Investors team, they look after all of the assets that we manage, so 246 billion of them as of the middle of this year, I think. And then we also have a Canadian business. So the Canadian general insurance business is one of the top 10 markets globally, and we currently sit at number 2. So it's a really key market for us, and we're doing pretty well in that space. And then finally, we've got some international investments and joint ventures across some other markets as well, which kind of complete our portfolio of the organisation. So that's kind of a little bit about us. Let's then talk a little bit more around our partnership with Dataiku. So we started our partnership back in 2017. This was with our marketing teams, looking at some customer use cases and marketing use cases. Went really, really well, clearly. And then through 2018, that Dataiku actually became our strategic data science workbench. So as part of that, we were able to modernize our tech stack, simplify some legacy architecture by moving on to Dataiku. So that kind of cemented Dataiku's position with Aviva. 2019, we then saw some global adoption. So this is where our Canadian colleagues came onto the platform as well and started utilizing it. And we also expanded out some of our use cases into our group functions beyond just the markets that we've touched on. Jump ahead a little bit then. So 2024, this is where through that period we actually started doing some rehosting of Dataiku. So we previously on some really old technology stack, we managed to rehost onto a containerized architecture. And as part of that, that was a bit of a step change for us in terms of our ability to run the platform. And as part of that as well, we were able to integrate with more modern tech stacks and actually then unlock new, more complex use cases requiring kind of more compute and GPU use cases. And then finally, to the modern day. So today through the course of this year, we've been looking at the generative AI use cases, trying to build those out, trying to integrate with our LLM capability, and we're looking to expand that further into the agentic space as we look into the new year, which I'll touch on later as well. Okay, and then finally, just a bit about us and our partnership. So as you see here, we kind of touched on the markets that Aviva have. But actually, this is a bit of a snapshot in terms of the install base that we have on the platform. And you can see that we have our GI business, we have our IWR business, but we also have the C&M market, which kind of splits across those two industries, and then our group functions, which actually is quite a sizable amount of our install base. So a real diverse set of use cases that we've been able to unlock across the organisation. Okay, right. So how has Dataiku helped enable us for this AI-ready culture? Well, firstly, let's actually start having a look at some of the challenges that we're facing. We're in a highly regulated industry. We're a 300-plus-year-old organization. With that comes a lot of technical challenges and legacy. So our tech ecosystem is a real challenge for us. Governance and regulation, we've got PRA, FCA, probably about 5 other A's and authorities out there that we have to adhere to. So making sure that we're protecting our customer data, that we're being secure and reliable with the work that we do is going to be key. Organizational enablement, I think we've touched on this a little bit today through the various other speakers. For us, this is around how do we make sure that the rapid evolution of AI, we're bringing that the company along with us, and we're enabling them, we're upskilling them to be successful and to take advantage of the opportunity that stands in front of us all. And then finally, one that's really important to me is that value measurement. How do we actually make sure that the investment decisions that we're making as an organization are the right ones, and they're going to set us up to be successful over the coming years? So what I want to do is kind of dive into these in a little bit more detail. So I'm going to start with kind of the tech ecosystem. So here we've got real high complexity, we've got disparate requirements, and then AI is everywhere, right? So just drilling into these a little bit more. The high complexity, as I've touched on, we've got a lot of legacy across our estate. We also have multiple markets. So in terms of their requirements, the product set that they've got are very different. So managing that kind of challenge of their timelines, the requirements, and coming to us as a platform team at the same time is difficult to navigate. And then also that kind of hype cycle around AI is everywhere. We're trying to simplify our ecosystem from a technology standpoint, so how do we make sure that AI doesn't just completely reverse what we're trying to do? So there's a real big challenges there. And in terms of how Dataiku is really helping us, so the platform agility integration is really, really important for us. The ability to kind of have that extensive suite of connections, help simplify and bring in our disparate data sources onto the platform, making it usable. For us as Aviva, we've got heavy investments in the likes of Snowflake with our modern data platform, and we've also opted to have kind of an in-house LLM platform as well. So the fact that we're able to use the custom LLM capabilities with Dataiku helps us unlock that journey without having the requirement of going external. So it's really important for us, and it's been successful. From a requirements perspective, there's ease of use, right? So we've got the code-first individuals, our data scientists that love to get into their Jupyter notebooks, but we've also then got the low-code community. So this is where we can use those pre-built recipes, and it really enables us to kind of deliver the platform as a self-service product, whilst as a central team we can maintain some governance and control over what's happening. And then finally, unifying those requirements. So for me, this is all around, we've got large data sets, we've got existing machine learning models, and we've got this kind of new agentic capability. Having a platform that brings them all together to actually unlock and align to a business use case is going to be critical. I think at the minute we probably build something over here and we build something over here, and they don't really talk to each other. So the framework of unifying those requirements together is going to be really powerful, and is helping us today already. So next, governance and regulation. So here, as I've just touched on, we've got all the regulatory requirements that we have as part of being a financial services organization. There's a real big challenge around being AI ready when it comes to our data and the ecosystem there. And then traceability. Now, that data lineage, how can we get the view from going from a prompt to the response and be able to articulate what's happened through that journey? That's really going to be key for us. So again, when we step through this, Dataiku is providing us with that real big enterprise-grade governance. We're going through a journey at the moment with Advanced Govern, which is going to be really helpful for us moving forward around governing those workflows, governing that framework. And then also from the generative AI perspective, we've got the guard tools. We've got Safeguard, Quality Guard. We've got the alignment with the EU AI Act as well. So Dataiku is providing us with the right set of tools to be successful across all of our markets and user base. Data quality and governance. I think here we've got a really easy to use front-end UI, which all of our data scientists and our kind of citizen users can come together and do their data preparation on, making sure that we're building the right data assets to then be interrogated for our insights. Additionally, through the govern capability, we've got that ability to bring in our data stewards across the organization, our data governance function, to kind of do our data tagging, making sure it's certified, quality checked before we actually deploy that into a production ecosystem. So it's really, really valuable for us. And then finally, the project lineage. So the kind of UI project flow going from source to, or from start to end, seeing that visually is really, really helpful. We saw earlier around the lineage capabilities there as well, which is really, really powerful for us. And again, it's just adding to our tool or our armory and our tool set. Organizational enablement then. This is a really interesting one when it comes to Aviva, but strategy and roadmap is really key. As I mentioned, we've kind of got in-house Gen AI, LLM platform, and kind of building those together and having these investment decisions, these conversations around how do we know we're doing the right thing, how do we know that we're setting ourselves up to be successful with our 12-month, 24-month roadmap is something that's a hot topic right now. AI literacy, so how are we enabling the organization? I think someone once said to me a couple of weeks ago that AI now is like giving the keys to a Ferrari for someone that's still learning to reverse park. It's like, right, you've got a fast car, it's an accident waiting to happen. So how do we bring them on that journey and make sure that they're going to be able to capitalize on this opportunity? And then finally, the organizational evolution, right? Gen AI has brought a whole load of new roles, prompt engineers, AI engineers, and how do we make sure that they've got the right tools in place to be successful in those new roles that we're bringing in? So the key one here for me is the partnership we have with Dataiku. They really are a thought leader. I'm sure we all know they're in the top right quadrant for Gartner. But the conversations we have with these guys, what we've seen today around enterprise reasoning, they're at the forefront of kind of the thinking around AI and where that's heading. And it's really positive to see that we can kind of lean on those as partners really in this journey to be successful. Community engagement. So again, Dataiku through our services and through our CSMs, etc., have supported us through enabling the organization. So we've run certification challenges, which Dataiku have sponsored. We've got champions across our organization where we kind of train the trainer and they then extrapolate that out to their teams to make sure that we're defining and delivering best practice at the enterprise scale. And then whenever we do upgrades and we unlock all that new set of capability that comes with one of those, we've got designated workshops and enablement programs in place around that to be successful. And then finally, technical excellence and AI features. So I touched on earlier that we went through kind of a step change around completely rehosting the Dataiku platform. That wouldn't have been achievable without the technical support of Dataiku. So that's been really, really valuable to us. And the other good thing is that we're a large enterprise. Upgrading is not necessarily the easiest thing for us with the dependencies we have in the business. So knowing that actually when we do upgrade, that when we do deliver that, we're delivering a whole lot of new business benefit to all of our stakeholders is really valuable. And that's knowing that Dataiku are at that forefront and they're constantly pushing the needle in terms of the features available to us. Okay, and then finally, so 3 core challenges I've got for value measurement. So sponsorship, cost management, and value realization. So here is all around how are we maximizing that investment and making sure we're getting good return ROI and not getting sucked into that hype and that bubble. Cost management, when we do actually enable capability, how do we make sure that someone just doesn't go completely off the rails and spend a whole load of money through LLMs? And then lastly, value realization. How do we know what we're doing is making an impact? So building on the strong foundations. And this for me is all around why go build something net new when we've already got an existing investment on a capability and a tech stack that it can just be built on for a fraction of the price, right? So we've got heavy investments, and actually the capability of building on top of that with the new releases that Dataiku are bringing is a game changer for us, as opposed to kind of doing a whole lot of stuff left field. Cost guard, so cost management, you all know that the guardrail services that are part of the advanced LLM mesh, so that's really key for us, giving us that visibility, giving us that control over how the cost is being spent, and actually also, more importantly for us, who's spending it, as we're a shared service. And then finally, value engineering and speed to market. So this is, we've partnered really well recently with some of the value engineering team. So Marco, if anyone is familiar with him, he's done some really good work with us, partnering with our teams to unlock and articulate some of the value of the use cases that we have in production. Alongside that kind of speed to market, so I touched earlier about bringing the data, the existing machine learning models and the agents that are on the roadmap coming down the pipe, bringing that together is helping us to that speed of market. So that test and learn cycle, that development cycle, kind of breaking that barrier is really helpful for us. So there's a quick run through in terms of some of the challenges that we've been facing and where Dataiku is playing a key role in helping us to overcome those hurdles. But really, what does this all matter for Aviva, right? So why is it so important to us? So firstly, we've got over 100 production use cases being delivered across the business, all of which are delivering business value. We've actually estimated that there's a 10x return on investment for our investment with Dataiku, and this is driven through the business use cases that we're delivering, some of which are are pretty impressive. And then finally, we've recently kind of done a piece of work to look at the productivity gains, and there's a particular team that we kind of interviewed and researched, and they kind of come up with a metric saying that's about 20% time saving. So it's a day a week of someone's time that we're giving back to them to do real good value add, which is really valuable. Cool. But what else? So at Aviva, as I'm sure everyone does, we've got core strategic themes. We've got goals that we set ourselves every year. These are just 3 of them. We kind of have 6 in total, but these are the kind of the top 3 ones that we focus on. And what you're seeing here are quotes and use cases of where Dataiku is aligning to each one of these strategic themes and driving business benefit. So powering some of our pricing models is great. Enhancing our digital experience and our customer communications, and then completely re-engineering our claims process is really powerful. But what's really key for us at Aviva is that we're really strong on sustainability. We have a commitment to kind of net zero, and what I'm really pleased to see is that we've got suppliers and vendors that are coming on that journey with us. And the fact that Dataiku have committed to supporting us on that journey is really powerful. We have a mandate at CEO level to kind of make sure our supply chain is aligned to that. So it's really positive to see. Okay, so one of my customers has put this lovely quote in around Dataiku is the platform, it can do everything and more, which made me laugh a little bit, but actually he's got a point, right? So what we've got here are a collection of his use cases within the claims team, covering kind of motor, casualty, property, and there's even some kind of fraud detection and analytics in there as well. And what we're seeing here is that him and his team have been able to leverage the platform to really drive meaningful impact in re-engineering of the claims processes. For us, this is a multi-million-pound benefit to the organisation. We're driving increased customer satisfaction, which obviously has a needle move on our NPS scores, and actually the process efficiency we're delivering through automation not only is doing kind of in-house cost saving, but again is driving people to focus on the right thing and then drive additional benefit and value across the business. So really, really important for us. This is just one example where I've picked on someone, but that's replicated across our organisation. Okay, so what's next for us? I've whistle-stopped through. I've gone through that really quickly. But when we look at 2026, there are kind of 3 core things that we're trying to look at here. So, and a lot of it aligns to what we've heard about today. So maturing that agentic AI architecture. I'm sure as many of you in the room today, Dataiku is not the only platform that we have in the organisation. And actually, it's about how do we integrate that with our enterprise architects? How do we integrate that with the wider ecosystem of data, of analytics, and AI to play its role and make sure it's harmonious across the organisation? Is a key focus for us. Operational excellence is always critical for us, especially as a shared service and a platform team. The XOps kind of conversation is really key. That observability, and again, touching on that prompt to response, how do we make sure that we can really articulate when we go through our auditing to go, actually, I know exactly what happened in that journey, and I can evidence it through governance or another means. So it's going to be really key for us to bring that journey along as we integrate generative and agentic AI. And then finally, accelerating business value with AI. This, for me, is just actually probably should be at the front. It's the most important thing for us. But this, again, comes all the way back to that speed to market, that test and learn. I think what we've seen today, and I was speaking to some of my colleagues in the room, is really about actually, I was seeing that we've got a way to do it today, but what we've seen today actually just accelerates that like tenfold. Like we can literally do stuff in minutes that might otherwise take like a week to deliver, right? So that test and learn phase, getting us across the line there, and then we can have a conversation around productionizing that. But demonstrating the value up front in terms of a use case is really, really key. And enabling our business to do that is important as well. So, like I say, whistle-stop tour. That's everything I wanted to touch on today. Hopefully it's been interesting. If anyone has any questions or anything you want to ask, obviously either see me outside and some of my team on the front row here can also help the conversation, or just LinkedIn me and we'll continue the conversation there as well. So thank you for the time. Thank you for having me today. And I think we're almost at beers, bearing one. So yeah, thank you very much.